This week's episode of Demon Slayer was truly enjoyable, but it also has taken more panels from the manga to adapt. But largely, this episode has been anime exclusive. To be specific and put that into numbers, Demon Slayer episode 4 Hashira Training adapted only 15 panels of chapter 132. So let's take a look into what this episode had adapted. If you're liking the Demon Slayer anime versus manga series so far, go ahead and do me a solid and hit that like button. If you aren't subscribed as yet, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all things Demon Slayer. Now, let's get into it. Tanjiro has arrived at his next training session, led here by the main character of this whole thing, Tanjiro's crow, Matsuaimon Tennoji. This time it's Muichiro who trains them in quick movement training. He's in the middle of hounding another trainee who's not doing so well. By the way, we only get to Tanjiro's training near the end of this episode when it actually starts adapting panels from the manga. From here until then though, it's anime exclusive, baby. Anyway, something to realize here about Muichiro is that his eyes are illuminated, far different from how we started off in last season where his eyes were dead and lifeless. Now his memories are back and he's taking on his own personality instead of his brother's. But this is where the episode would start and we will get our title card, showing Muichiro's pattern and the title, "To Bring a Smile to One's Face." Muichiro shows his stuff by not only being brutal during his training sessions, but also being very instructive, though that's not enough to make his trainees feel a little bit better about their failures. But then he notices Tanjiro and he takes him out back. Muichiro's crow is as annoying as ever, Ginkgo, and she's bad-mouthing everyone who's had enough of her shit. Anyways, Kanamori is here helping out Muichiro with some blades to make sure that he's ready anytime a demon would attack. Muichiro takes a paper plane and instructs Tanjiro to stand there while holding the blade to show how sharp these things are. Now, back to training, Muichiro beats the ever-loving shit out of this guy who then complains to Tanjiro about his harsh training regimen. And then we finally get to see Tanjiro and Muichiro's crow go at it. They really don't like each other, but this bit was omitted in last season and I'm really glad to see it now. Anyways, training ends, we see Muichiro heading out and the rest of the guys wondering where he's going. Seems the Hashiras tend to head out at night, but who knows why. Don't worry, we'll get to see why in a few moments. Anyways, at night we see him speeding through a town, but what's this? Someone or some things are watching over him, and we can see that there's a number of these things being controlled by the demon of the castle. In the last episode, we realized that number 4 is imprinted on her eyes, which it might have seemed that she's taken over from Hantengu, but more than that, she's using these eyeballs to track the Demon Slayer core, and she has a lot of them. Now, a question that I have is, if she's taken over for the number 4 spot, does that mean she's incredibly powerful? Now there's something I must mention. Please, for the love of God, stop spoiling it for the anime onlys. I've designed these videos simply to compare the anime to the manga where they actually are, meaning that there are 0 spoilers, and I don't appreciate you in the comments spoiling it for everyone, so please don't, hold off on that. Also, hit that like button to show your appreciation for me not spoiling things for you. Anyways, we finally get to see it, a sparring match between Sanemi and Iguro, and now things get even better with Muichiro joining while the other two take him on, which really shows us his skill. But also to note, they aren't going all out here. They're actually holding back. They are just doing training in the best way that they can, which is live combat. Most of the Hashira are a kind of practical application instead of theory, you know. But this short snip of Sakuga was amazing, but it ends way too quickly. Ufotable is just teasing us with this action, but at the same time giving us a little by little so that we can find this arc so much more enjoyable. But back into the training bits, now Muichiro takes on this trainee again, but he thinks that he's soft, so you know, he takes out the big guns and goes for the real sword, so you know shit is about to hit the fan. But I think this was a bluff. He only wanted to see if they have enough gusto to do something stupid like blindly attack him when they don't have to. Anyways, they let the Hashira know a bit of how they feel, but don't neglect the fact that they know that he's been going out training on his own, seeing him come home with a ton of bruises. So he shares a little bit of his feelings with them as well, letting them know that, hey, I don't want you to die, so I'm giving you the best training that I possibly could. Now the passage of time unfolds, showing us 5 days pass. It's time for the events of the anime to line up with that of the manga, showing Tanjiro's training as he goes toe-to-toe with Muichiro, who instructs him all the way how to move his body. It's a far cry from how the other trainees were taught, but he gets the go-ahead to move on to the next training regimen, even though it's only been 5 days. But when the other guys ask to also move on, they are met with a cold fuck no. We deviate from the events of the manga for a few moments when Tanjiro wants to do something to help lighten the spirits of Muichiro and the trainees. He challenges the young Hashira Hashira to a paper plane flying contest. It seems Muichiro loves to build these paper planes and fly them. Another fact that I can add to the next season of Demon Slayer fact videos that I'll release sometime after this season ends, so keep an eye out for those. The videos are carefully researched and I put a lot of work into it, so please watch when you can. There aren't any spoilers in them, so as long as you're caught up to Demon Slayer, you're all good to go. Anyways, Tanjiro says that if he can win even 1 out of 10 of these, that Muichiro has to be nice from now on. But just when you think Tanjiro would win, he loses, but this still has the effect that he wants on the others that he had hoped. Now they all challenge Muichiro to a contest of their own, where everyone, even those who aren't good at it, build their paper planes in their own signature style and they all fly them together. This scene could have a lot of symbolic meaning to it, in that in Japanese culture, kamihikori is seen as a childish hobby, still a part of origami of course. It is the epitome of imagination, childhood desire, magic, travel, communication, simplicity, creativity, belief, optimism, and even designs. Tying this all back to Demon Slayer, their hope is that one day they can all beat demons who has torn many families apart. Them flying it all together could symbolize their brotherhood bonds in this singular dream. They all fall one by one, but together, collectively, they color the skies with their dream, each one using the wind to pull up another. Closer and closer to their dreams they fly. A truly fitting moment for Demon Slayer, and it brought a smile to my face. At the end of it all, Tanjiro and Muichiro would have a talk about Nezuko, and we see that she's being guided by Yuro Kodaki, Tanjiro's first mentor and a former water Hashira who's also trained Giyu. And now Tanjiro and Muichiro band together to stop Muzan. At any rate, the episode ends, but there's a lot more to see. The anime and manga then line up for a few moments. We get to see Tanjiro arriving at Mitsuri's training ground. But before he could start training, she treats him to some delicious food, which he really has no idea what she's talking about because he's never had food like this, but he goes along anyway. I mean, I would. It's food, right? At the end of it, we get a nice little Taisho era secret, which shows Muichiro having the ability to sleep through anything, never even losing his appetite, a fact that I've shared in my videos before. And that's basically the entire episode. I'll be publishing a video to break down the Demon Slayer opening. It might take a little while since I only have time to make about 1 video per week, as I do have other life obligations. YouTube isn't my job. I don't get paid for this. This isn't a side hustle. I just really love making these videos for anyone who really appreciates them, of course. But at any rate, I'd like to thank all of you. Those who've been watching, left a comment, liked, subscribed, shared, and all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think of this week's episode and leave a like and a share on your way out. This has been your host, Kyle. Thank you again for tuning in. V Nation, peace out and stay safe out there.